प्रेमन्माधवसादशेषदशया ग्रस्तौ प्रमत्तौ सदा राधा पुण्यतटे कलिन्नतनया तीरे च वंशीवटे प्रेमन्माधवसादशेषदशया ग्रस्तौ प्रमत्तौ सदा.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Prabhupada Disciples Association weekly classes on Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and this evening's class from Caitanya-caritāmṛta, from the unadulterated books, unedited books of our spiritual master, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda. And I want to thank everyone who's attending the classes on a regular basis for their efforts in increasing our numbers in social media. I'm happy to announce that we've been accelerating our viral penetration of the Facebook social media group, Prabhupada Disciples Association, and we're now heading for 5,200 members. So that's very good news for all of us to see this kind of response from that medium. And I'm going to request everyone in our group who are centers of influence in the countries that are attending here, that the more that you work on promoting our name online and in our YouTube classes as well. Now we're streaming live on YouTube this evening, as well as on Facebook. And we're also starting to get hundreds and, well, collectively, we've had over 10,000 views of our classes on YouTube, even more. So we're looking forward to increasing our subscription base on YouTube. So please, encourage your friends that are interested in spiritual life, both new people and some, let's say, veterans from the historical ISKCON movement that have possibly floated away from there because of being banished or rejected by that membership, to come over to our side, because we have a serious program of 3 classes a week, which are getting very good response globally from all of the people that are attending. We're getting very positive response. So there is a split between groups these days, the ones that follow the ISKCON movement and those that do not follow that group and are looking for alternatives. And we are here as the alternative group to embrace you into our network and give you association. We're going to be showing, I hope, later a slide. I'm not sure if it's ready, Vinkat, of all the contact information for people that are in this group, like Balaram in Australia and Janis Priya in Hawaii and Prakrita in Montreal, yourself in South India, myself, etc. We have a large list that we're compiling that we'll be showing at the classes, and contact information for all of our members here and other people that are looking for association. They can reach out to us in our particular areas, and we can give them association and encouragement to carry on with Krishna consciousness in their life outside of other groups. And I think that the results are showing for themselves that we're getting a very positive response from the general community on the effort to promote Prabhupada as Guru, Diksha Guru and Sishya Guru of our mission here at the Prabhupada Disciples Association. So we'll carry on tonight. We're going to finish up reading the Makine Bhagavad Dharma. It's a poem, a bhajan that was written by Srila Prabhupada at Boston Harbor in September 18th, 1965. And it's from this wonderful book that we've been reading from, which is Prabhupada's own diary, totally unadulterated and changed, even is in his own handwriting. And by the grace, I believe, of Brahmananda Swami and Gargamuni Swami, they came to Hamilton here years ago to stay with me. It was a great honor to have Brahmananda with me because he was so dear to Prabhupada. Prabhupada really loved him because he was one of the first members and really was a great devotee of Srila Prabhupada's and did so much wonderful service. And one of the things was these wonderful diaries. I also have the second edition, the beginning, that we'll be reading from, and later on in the class we'll be reading from the prospectus from the what is the book again? The Vinca, what is it?
Devotees.
League of Devotees, of course. Gee. And reading from the prospectus on the League of Devotees, which is also a very insightful look at the mature level that Prabhupada was at already in the 50s before he even started the Krishna movement as we know it today. So we'll carry on. We're going to finish off this poem. Rajas tamo hate tabe poibe nistar hridayer abhadra sub guchibe tahara. Translation. So this is from that, yes, there you are. Thank you for our audience, wonderful audience, global audience at this class. Thank you so much for attending. He will become liberated from the influence of the modes of ignorance and passion, and thus all us inauspicious things accumulated in the core of the heart will disappear. Kikori bujhabo kata baro sei chahi kudra ami dina hina kona shakti nahi. Translation. How will I make them understand the message of Krishna consciousness? I'm very unfortunate, unqualified, and the most fallen. Therefore, I'm seeking your benediction so that I can convince them, for I am powerless to do so on my own. Atacha inecho prabhu kata bolibare ye tomara icha prabhu kora e bare. Translation. Somehow or other, O Lord, you have brought me here to speak about you. Now, my Lord, it is up to you to make me a success or failure as you like. Akila Jagad Guru, Bachana se Amar, Ahankrita Koribar, Kama Mata Tomar. O spiritual master of all the worlds, I can simply repeat your message. So if you like, you can make my power of speaking suitable for this understanding. Taba kripa hoile mor kata suda habe, suniya sabara soka duka je kujibe. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Only by your causeless mercy will my words become pure. I'm sure that when this transcendental message penetrates their hearts, they will certainly feel gladdened and thus become liberated from all unhappy conditions of life. Ani yachu jadi Prabhu amare nachete, nacho Prabhu nachu se mate, kastera puta ali jata nacho sumate. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. O Lord, I'm just like a puppet in your hands, so if you brought me here to dance, then make me dance. Make me dance, O Lord, make me dance as you like. Bhakti nai beda nai name kuba daro, Bhaktivedanta nam ebe sartaka koro. Translation. I have no devotion, nor do I have any knowledge, but I have strong faith in the holy name of Krishna. I've been designated as Bhaktivedanta, and now, if you like, you can fulfill the real purport of Bhaktivedanta. Signed, the most unfortunate, insignificant beggar, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. On board the ship Jaladuta, Commonwealth Pier, Boston, Massachusetts, USA, dated 18th of September, 1965. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and his mission to spread the Sankirtan movement globally through the Hare Krishna teachings of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Vinkat, please move ahead. We'll carry on with the class, everybody, globally. And we're going to read devotees' perspective in depth of spiritual.
Yes, so last class we're almost finished with it, with the second last page.
Yes.
So after political independence of India, the state language should have been made Sanskrit, but it has not been so. Formerly, though Sanskrit language was not known to the general mass of people in India, still the written language of India was Sanskrit. As a result of this, there was a strong sense of cultural unity of the ruling classes, that is, the Brahmin and the Kshatriya, who were followed by the Vaishyas and Shudras. The spoken languages of India was, as usual, always different over district after district, but due to the cultural unity of the people through the written Sanskrit language, there was no question of provincial or other narrow rivalries.
Mm-hmm.
If Sanskrit language is therefore made again the written language of India, the cultural unity of India will not only be more strengthened than ever, but also it'll be participated by the enlightened people of the world. The League of Devotees aims at this perfection for its objective of spiritual and cultural advancement. Om Tat Sat, Abhay Charanarvindo Bhaktivedanta, founder and secretary. So this was written on 16th May 1953. So 12 years before Srila Prabhupada, came to the US.
Very profound. We're going to carry on with this section moving forward. We're going to be reading from some of his early articles from his men's and right in our class. So we'll organize for everybody, and so we can set the mood with the chanting Madhava by Srila Prabhupada and along, and then we'll have the dissertation by Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu from California. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Sai. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari. 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 Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai, Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktivedanta Sri Radha Krishna Go Gopinath Sam Kund Radha Kund Giridhardhan ki jai, Vrindavan Dham ki jai, Swami Ganga Mai ki jai, Yamuna Mai ki jai, jai, Swami Bhaktivedanta ki jai. Glories to the assembled Lord. All glories to the assembled Lord. Thank you very much.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya. Narayanam Namaskritya. Naram Cheva Narottamam. Naram Cheva Narottamam. Devim Saraswatim Vyasam. Devim Saraswatim Vyasam. Tato Jayam Mudirayat. Tato Jayam Mudirayat. We are going to be reading a few verses from Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta Adi Lila from text 118 to 121. Jai Jai Sri Caitanya Jai Nityananda Jaya Dvaitan Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Glory to Sri Caitanya and Nityananda. Glory to Advaita Chandra. And glory to all the devotees of Sri Gaura, Lord Chaitanya. 18 Thakur Gaudiya ke karye chenayatmasat. 18 Charana Vandana Tire Morenat. These three deities of Vrindavana, Madan Mohan, Govinda, and Gopinatha, have absorbed the heart and soul of God, of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, followers of Lord Chaitanya. I worship their lotus feet, for they are the lords of my heart. Text 20. Grantera Rambi Kari Mangala Charana Guru Vaishnav Bhagavan Tinira Smarana. In the beginning of this narration, simply by remembering the spiritual master, the devotees of the Lord, and the personality of Godhead, I have invoked their benedictions. Text 21. Tinera smaranioi vigna vinashana, anayasioi nijavanchita purana. Such remembrance destroys all difficulties and very easily enables one to fulfill his own desires. Simangala charanoi trivida prakar, vastu nirdesha shiravada namaskara. The invocation involved three processes: defining the objective, offering benedictions, and offering obeisances. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nam Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Deshatarine Bhagavad Bandhanam Kadyam Guru Vandana Purvakam Kshiram Sharkara Yuktam Kadatehi Visheshataham Bhakti Siddhanta Shishyaya Bhaktivedanta Namine Prasannaya Prashantaya Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Rup Sanatana Bhatta Raghunatha, Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunatha, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Today we'll be reading from Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta, the original unrevised, non-adulterated version. We are reading from Adi Lila, chapter 2, text number 20 on page 106. Atava bahunetena kim nyatena tavarujuna vishtabhyahamidam kritsnam ekam shenastitu jagat. Atava, or, bahuna, much, etena, with this, kim, what use, nyatena, being known, tava, by you, Arjuna, O Arjuna, vishtabhya, pervading, aham, I, idam, this, kritsnam, entire, Eka amshena, with one portion, stitaha, situated, jagat, universe, translation, by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. The personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, said, "What more shall I say to you? I live throughout this cosmic manifestation merely by my single plenary portion." Purport. Describing his own potencies to Arjuna, the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna spoke this verse of Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavad Gita 10:42. Text number 21. Tamimamaham majam sharira bhajam hridi dishtitam atmakalpitanam pratidrusham ivanekadarkamekam samadhigatusmi vidhuta bheda moha. Tam, him, imam, this, aham, I, ajam, the unborn, sharira bhajam, of the conditioned souls endowed with bodies, ridi, in each of the hearts, dishtitam, situated, atma, by themselves, kalpitanam, which are imagined, pratidrisham, for every eye, eva, like, na ekadha, not in one way, arkam, the sun, ekam, one, samadhigataha, one who has obtained, asmi, I am, vidhuta, removed, bheda moha, whose misconception of duality. Translation. Grandfather Bhishma said, as the one sun appears differently situated to different seers, so also do you, the unborn, appears differently represented as Paramatma in every living being. But when a seer knows himself to be one of your own servitors, no longer does he maintain such duality. Thus, I am now able to comprehend your eternal forms, knowing well the Paramatma to be only your plenary portion. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. This verse from Srimad Bhagavatam 1.9.42 was spoken by Bhishma Deva, the grandfather of the Kurus, when he was lying on a bed of arrows at the last stage of his life. Arjuna, Krishna, and numberless friends, admirers, relatives, and sages had gathered on the scene as Maharaj Yudhishthir took moral and religious instructions from the dying Bhishma. Just as the final moment arrived for him, Bhishma spoke this verse while looking at Lord Krishna. Just as this one sun is the object of vision of many different persons, so the one partial representation of Lord Krishna who lives in the heart of every living entity as Paramatma, is a variously perceived object. One who comes intimately in touch with Lord Krishna by engaging in his eternal service sees the Supersoul as the localized partial representation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Bhishma knew the Supersoul to be a partial expansion of Lord Krishna, whom he understood to be the Supreme Unborn Transcendental Form. Text 22. Seta Govinda Saksat Caitanya Gosai Jiva Nistarite Aeche Dayalu Aranai. Seta, that, Govinda, Govinda, Sakshat, personally, Chaitanya, Lord Chaitanya, Gosai, Gosani, Jiva, the fallen living entities, Nistarite, to deliver, Aiche, such, Dayalu, a merciful Lord, Ar, another, Nai, there is not. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. That Govinda personally appears as Chaitanya Gosai. No other Lord is as merciful in delivering the fallen souls. Purport by His Divine Grace. Having described Govinda in terms of his Brahman and Paramatma features, now the author of Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta advances his argument to prove that Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the identical personality. The same Lord Sri Krishna, in the garb of a devotee of Sri Krishna, descended to this mortal world to reclaim the fallen human beings who had misunderstood the personality of Godhead, even after the explanation of Bhagavad Gita. In Bhagavad Gita, the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna directly instructed that the Supreme is a person. Impersonal Brahman is his glowing effulgence. Paramatma is his partial representation, and all men are therefore advised to follow the path of Sri Krishna, leaving aside all mundane isms. Offenders misunderstood this instruction, however, because of their poor fund of knowledge. Thus, by his causeless, unlimited mercy, Sri Krishna came again as Sri Chaitanya Gosai. The author of Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta most emphatically stresses that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself. He is not an expansion of the Prakash or Vilasa forms of Sri Krishna. He is the Swayam Rupa, Govinda. Apart from the relevant scriptural evidence forwarded by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, there are innumerable statements regarding Lord Chaitanya being the Supreme Lord himself. The following examples may be cited. 1. From the Caitanya Upanishad, Gauraha Saravatma Mahapurusho Mahatma Mahayogi Trigunatitaha Sattvarupo Bhaktim Loke Kasyati. Lord Gaura, who is the all-pervading Supersoul, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, appears as a great saint and powerful mystic, who is above the three modes of nature and is the emblem of transcendental activity. He disseminates the cult of devotion throughout the world. 2. From the Shvetashvatara Upanishad, Tamishwaranam Paramam Maheshwaram Tam Devatanam Paramam Cha Devatam Patim Patinam Paramam Parastad Vidamadevam Bhuvaneshamidyam. O Supreme Lord, you are the Supreme Maheshwara, the worshipful deity of all the demigods, and the Supreme Lord of all lords. You are the controller of all controllers, the personality of Godhead, the Lord of everything worshipable. Shvetashvatara-upanishad 6:7. Mahan prabhurve purushaha sattvasye sapravartakaha sunirmalam imam praptimishanu jyotirabhyayaha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is Mahaprabhu, who disseminates transcendental enlightenment. Just to be in touch with him is to be in contact with the indestructible Brahmajyoti. From the Shvetashvara Upanishad 3:1-2. 3. From Undaka Upanishad 3:1-3. Yada pasyaha pasyati rukma varnam kartaramisham purusham brahmayonim. One who sees that golden-colored personality of Godhead, the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Actor, who is the source of the Supreme Brahman, is liberated. 4. From Srimad Bhagavatam. Dhyeyam sadaparibhavagnyam abhishtadoham tirtashpadam shivavirinchinutam sharanyam Brityartiham pranatapala bhavadvipotam vande mahapurushate charanarabindam. We offer our respectful obeisance unto the lotus feet of him, the Lord, upon whom one should always meditate. He destroys insults to his devotees. He removes the distresses of his devotees and satisfies their desires. He, the abode of all holy places and the shelter of all sages, is worshipable by Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma. He is the boat of the demigods for crossing the ocean of birth and death. From the Bhagavatam 11:5-33. Tyaktva sudustya jasurepsita raja lakshmim dharmishta arya vachasa yadagararanyam mayam mrigam dayitipshitam manvadhavad vande mahapurushate charanarabindam. We offer our respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of the Lord, upon whom one should always meditate. He left his householder life, leaving aside his eternal consort, whom even the denizens of heaven adore. He went into the forest to deliver the fallen souls who are put into illusion by material energy. Bhagavatam 11:5-34. Prahlada said, Itam nritiryagrishī deva jasavatarer lokan vibhayasi amsi jagat pratipam dharamam mahapurusha pasyuna yuganuvrittam channah kalu yadabhavastriyugata sattvam. My Lord, you kill all the enemies of the world in your multifarious incarnations in the families of men, animals, demigods, rishis, aquatics, and so on. Thus, you illuminate the worlds with transcendental knowledge. In the age of Kali, O Mahapurusha, you sometimes appeared in a covered incarnation. Therefore, you are known as Triyuga, one who appears in only 3 yugas. Bhagavatam 7:9-38. 5. From the Krishna Yamala. Punyakshiretri navadvipe bhavishyami sachisutaha. I shall appear in the holy land of Navadvip as the son of Sachi Devi. 6. From the Vayu Purana. Kalo samkirtanarambe bhavishyami sachisutaha. In the age of Kali, when the Samkirtan movement is inaugurated, I shall descend as the son of Sachi Devi. 7. From the Brahma Yamala. Atavaham daradame bhutva madbhakta rupadrik mayayam cha bhavishyami kalo samkirtanagame. Sometimes I personally appear on the surface of the world in the garb of a devotee. Specifically, I shall appear as the son of Sachi in Kali Yuga to start the Sankirtana movement. 8. From the Ananta Samhita, Yaeva Bhagavan Krishna Radhika Pranavallabaha Srishyado Sajagannatho Gora Asin Maheshwari. The Supreme Person, Sri Krishna himself, who is the life of Sri Radharani and is the Lord of the universe in creation, maintenance, and annihilation, appears as Gaura O Maheshwari. Text number 23. Paravyomete Vaishinarayana Nama Shadeshvarya Purna Lakshmi Kanta Bhagavan. Paravyomete, in the transcendental world, Vaishi sits, Narayana, Lord Narayana, Nama, of the name, Shateshvarya, of 6 kinds of opulences, Purna, full, Lakshmi Kanta, the husband of the goddess of opulence, Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Lord Narayana, who dominates the transcendental world, is full in 6 opulences. He is the personality of Godhead, the Lord of the goddess of fortune. Text number 24. Veda Bhagavata Upanishad Agama Purna Tattva Yandre Kahi Nahi Yandra Sama. Veda, the Vedas, Bhagavata, Srimad Bhagavatam, Upanishad, the Upanishad, Agama, other transcendental literatures, Purna Tattva, full truth, Yanri, unto whom, Kahe, they say, Nahi, there is not, Yanra, whose, Sama, equal. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. The personality of Godhead is he who is described as the absolute whole in the Vedas, Bhagavatam, Upanishads, and other transcendental literatures. No one is equal to him. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. There are innumerable authoritative statements in the Vedas regarding the personal feature of the Absolute Truth. Some of them are as follows. 1. From the Rik Samhita 122.20, Tad Vishno Paramam Padam Sada Pashyanti Surayah Divi Eva Chakshuratatam. The personality of Godhead Vishnu is the absolute truth, whose lotus feet all the demigods are always eager to see. Like the sun god, he pervades everything by the rays of his energy. He appears impersonal to imperfect eyes. 2. From the Narayana Atharvashira Upanishad, Narayana Deva Samutpadhyante, Narayanat Pravartante, Narayane Pradiyante, Atanityo Narayana, Narayana Evidagam Sarvam Yat Bhutam Yat Chabhavyam, Shuddha Deva Eko Narayano Nadvitiyo Asti Kaschit. It is from Narayana only that everything is generated, by him only that everything is maintained, and in him only that everything is annihilated. Therefore Narayana is eternally existing. Everything that exists now or will be created in the future is nothing but Narayana, who is the unadulterated deity. There is only Narayana and nothing else. 3. From the Narayana Upanishad, Yataha Prasuta Jagataha Prasuta, Narayana is the source from whom all the universes emanate. 4. From the Hayashirsha Pancharatra, Paramatma Harir Devaha, Hari is the Supreme Lord. 5. From the Bhagavatam 11.3.34.35, Narayanad Bhidanasya Brahmanaha Paramatmanaha. Nishtam arhata no vaktum yuyam hi brahma vittamaha. O best of the Brahmanas, please tell us the position of Narayana, who is also known as Brahman and Paramatma. Sthityudbhava pralayetu rayetu rasya yat svapno jagara sushuptishu shadbahiyascha dehendriyashu hridayani charanti yena sanjivitani tadavehi param narendra. O king, know him who is causeless and yet is the cause of creation, maintenance, and annihilation. He exists in the three states of consciousness, namely waking, dreaming, and deep sleep, as well as beyond them. He enlivens the body, the senses, the breath of life, and the heart, and thus they move. Know him to be the supreme. Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Miritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances. We all offer a respectful obeisance unto our Prabhupada from the transcendental knowledge. So this section is very, very important. Somebody may say, well, why is that? Well, we just read the verse, text number 22, where Srila Prabhupada is given so many different evidences from the Vedic literatures about the exalted, unique position of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We see in the Srimad Bhagavatam how Shukadev Goswami has explained, Krishna Varnam Tvisha Krishnam Sango Pangashta Parshadam Yagne Samkirtana Prayer Yajantihi Sumedesaha. In the Srimad Bhagavatam itself, we see in the first canto, there is description of Alpamedasaha, the description of those who have very little intelligence, Alpamedasaha. But here in that one text from the Srimad Bhagavatam, we see in the 11th canto, the term is used, Sumedasaha, which means very intelligent. That in the age of Kali, intelligent persons who understand the position of the Supreme Lord will worship Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Krishna Varnam Tvisha Krishnam, who comes in a golden form, along with his associate, the Panchatattva, and his various devotees who have come to assist in the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now, it is important to understand that these various literatures, Srila Prabhupada is translating this text of Caitanya-caritāmṛta based on a commentary of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and Bhaktivedanta Thakur. Both Bhaktivedanta Thakur and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur published the Caitanya-caritāmṛta with various notes and commentary. And Srila Prabhupada is giving here these various verses from Vedic literatures explaining the unique position of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Bhaktivedanta Thakur has also compiled some books in Bengali in which he has listed many, many more references regarding the position of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. A little while back, I sent an email, which was this basically called the Chaitanya Upanishad, that had been, it's a Vedic literature with the commentary of Bhaktivedanta Thakur. This was done in English. It's a Sanskrit text which predicts the appearance of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now, various other practitioners of spiritual life, various Vaishnava Sampradayas, such as the Ramanujas, the Madhvas, the Nimbarkas, the Vallabhas, they do not accept Chaitanya Mahaprabhu like the Gaudiya followers do. Their position is that these various scriptural evidences are not conclusive to point out the exalted position of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In 1972, Guru Kripa and myself, we toured of South India, Srila Prabhupada, and had with one of the Swamis in Udupi. we describe that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is a great exalted saint, but according to the Shastra, in Kali Yuga, Krishna is Triyuga. He doesn't come in Kali Yuga. But we see in this text of Srimad Bhagavatam that Prabhupada is quoted on page number 111, page number 109, we see in the Bhagavatam here, that is described, Channakalo yadabhavas triyugo atasattvam. Therefore, you are known as Triyuga, one who appears in only Triyuga. In the age of Kali, O Mahapurusha, you sometimes appeared in a covered incarnation. Now, this is important because we see in the Caitanya-caritāmṛta later on, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to Jagannath Puri, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya received him because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu fainted when he saw the deity of Lord Jagannath. And Gopinathacharya, one of his relatives, they brought Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to the house of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. And Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami describes an encounter which took place between Gopinathacharya and Vasudev Sarvabhauma, explaining to him that you do not understand the exalted position of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he quoted him different verses from the Mahabharata, from the Srimad Bhagavatam, explaining the unique position. And he told Sarvabhauma that when you receive the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, only then you will be able to understand his exalted position. So this is very important point. The person cannot understand the position of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the great acharyas in his line, such as Srila Prabhupada, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, Srila Sachidananda Bhaktivedanta Thakur, and all these great exalted acharya, without the mercy of the Lord. When Srila Prabhupada was confronted with some of the arguments we had received, 1 minute here. When Srila Prabhupada was explained the various arguments that they had given, Srila Prabhupada said, that is okay, they can give whatever arguments they want. We follow our previous acharyas, such as Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, Jiva Goswami, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Baladevi Bhusana, my Guru Maharaj, Bhaktivedanta Thakur. They have explained in our Gaudiya Sampradaya, this is the authorized Mahajan, the authorized empowered acharyas. And these personalities have very clearly explained the exalted position of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, along with Krishnadas Kaviraj. In the Caitanya-caritāmṛta, there are so many references to the unique position of Lord Chaitanya. This is not something that can be understood by academic study or Sanskrit knowledge or expertise in the Bengali language. No. One has to hear from a bona fide, realized, pure devotee acharya. And this is the exalted position of Srila Prabhupada. Because we see in the history of the development of the Krishna Consciousness movement, different personalities who took on the process of bhakti, took on the dress of devotees, shaved their heads, put tilak, did all the various things that one is supposed to do as a Vaishnava, but yet, if they do not accept the position of the acharya, the exalted position of the empowered pure devotee, they become bewildered. They become bewildered, and they will not understand Srila Prabhupada and the previous acharyas. We see in the Vaishnava Sampradaya, the Gaudiya Sampradaya, there are so many different practitioners. There's caste Goswamis, different kind of Sahajiyas, different kind of Babajis. And our position is not to pass judgment on these people. That has already been done. Bhaktivedanta Thakur, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and our Srila Prabhupada have very clearly explained the positions of these various groups, along with the most recent group, which was the official institution founded by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, his mat, the Gaudiya Mat. Why is it that Prabhupada chose not to accept any of these people as authorities? This is clearly explained in his books. Prabhupada, in one purport in the Caitanya-caritāmṛta, I'm paraphrasing here, explained that some of his godbrothers, they had no authority, having disobeyed the instruction of the spiritual master. This is a very important point, because we see various devotees trying to argue, Prabhupada said this, Prabhupada said that. It says in the Caitanya-caritāmṛta, every one of you become gurus. Prabhupada says over here in 1975, yes, Prabhupada says a lot of things. In order to understand things in a proper context and in a proper sequence, one has to have a very clear brain. One cannot be infected and poisoned by the pod disease, PAD, profit, adoration, and distinction. Then everything becomes unclear. When that disease enters the mind, it is not possible to clearly understand the desire and the instruction of the Acharya. One can goes on arguing for months and years. Still, they will not understand. They will not understand. To obey the order of the spiritual master is our only tradition. That is our tradition. That is our link to the disciplic succession. If one thinks that he can act independently and disobey the order of the spiritual master and still thinks that he's following some kind of so-called tradition, he's in big illusion. Big illusion. Just like there's various bodies, regulatory bodies for engineers, doctors, lawyers, and different professional disciplines, because they don't want an imposter to claim that he's a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer and cause havoc. Every year around the world, there will be some cheaters who will try to pose either as a doctor without the necessary qualification or a lawyer without having properly graduated and put a plaque on the wall and practice. But that is not the standard. In spiritual life, there is one standard: to obey the order of the spiritual master. This was Srila Prabhupada's great qualification, without any personal ambition for name, fame, power, prestige, position, authority, money seeking, and so many other deviations. Prabhupada followed diligently the order of his spiritual master without any personal motive. Without any personal motive. That is why he was successful. That is why. This is the example of how to be successful in spiritual life. It is not complicated. It is not difficult to understand. All these endless arguments with no conclusion are due to that problem. That problem. Vishwakarma Prabhu last week was reading from Caitanya-caritāmṛta Madhya Lila, this very nice detailed purport from Srila Prabhupada about Madhavendra Puri's exalted activities, where Prabhupada was explaining different kinds of Mahatmas, different kind of Mahajans. There's a lot of different kind of Mahajans according to different people from different visions. But we have to accept, we have to use our intelligence in our sampradaya. Who is the empowered Acharya? What he has achieved, what he has written. If we do not comprehend this point, it is not possible to understand the position of the Acharya. Then one will end up deviating and sometimes even having the audacity and the temerity to insult, publicly insult and criticize the Acharya. We have seen that. Very, very risky position. I've chosen a verse here, one or two verses, from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto number 3, chapter 21, text 20, 3, 21, 20. Srila Prabhupada explained, the Lord unwillingly creates this material world, but he descends in his personal form or sends one of his reliable sons or a servant or a reliable author like Vyasadeva to give instruction. He himself also instructs in his speeches of Bhagavad Gita. This propagator work goes on side by side with the creation to convince the misguided living entities who are rotting in this material world to come back to him and surrender unto him. Therefore, the last instruction of Bhagavad Gita is this: give up all your manufacturing engagements in the material world and just surrender unto me. I shall protect you from all sinful reactions. This was from Srimad Bhagavatam, conversation between Manu and Kardama, 3:21-20. We see in Ishopanishad Mantra 10, Prabhupada explained, from his kingdom, the personality of Godhead sends his bona fide servants to propagate this message by which one can return to Godhead, and sometimes the Lord comes himself to do this work. It is clear that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is that exalted personality, and Prabhupada is indirectly referring to himself. We see in the Caitanya-caritāmṛta, Madhya Lila, chapter 19, text 114. Madhya Lila, chapter 19, text 114. The Supreme Lord Sri Krishna personally descends to teach people that their position in the material world is a mistaken one. The Lord again comes as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to induce people to take to Krishna consciousness. The Lord also empowers a special devotee to teach people their constitutional position. Again, the last statement was from Caitanya-caritāmṛta's the Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instruction to Srila Rupa Goswami from Madhya Lila 19:114. At this point, I'll pass the microphone to our good friend Vishwakarma Prabhu for his comments. Hare Krishna.
Haribo, thank you very much for that wonderful explanation of these verses and purports by Prabhupada briefly this evening at the Caitanya-caritāmṛta class. And you're absolutely right. The basis of making advancement in Krishna consciousness and deepening your relationship is your qualification. And that qualification is described most prophetically by Srila Prabhupada in the opening prayers that we read from his hymn in the Jaladuta diary. I'll just read the again, just the verses at the end of that poem, Markani Bhagavat Dharma, just so we can further understand his mentality, which is the example that we should follow in terms of our mentality to qualify us to be representatives of the Sankirtan mission of Lord Chaitanya. So Prabhupada says here, O spiritual master of all the worlds, I can simply repeat your message. So if you like, you can make my power of speaking suitable for their understanding. So Prabhupada's automatically assuming in his own state that he's not capable of speaking properly, which for all of us, we know that Prabhupada was a brilliant orator, absolutely captivating from the Vyasa-san. And so minimizing his own personal ability and representing it as himself as simply a vehicle for Krishna to speak through. Hrishikesha. Only by your causeless mercy will my words become pure. I'm sure that when this transcendental message penetrates their hearts, they will certainly feel gladdened and thus become liberated from all unhappy conditions of life. O Lord, I am just like a puppet in your hands. So if you have brought me here to dance, then make me dance, make me dance. O Lord, make me dance as you like. So he's completely relinquishing his independence to the will of Krishna. He's not representing himself as some great preacher or orator. I have no devotion, nor do I have any knowledge. It's sublime. But I have strong faith in the holy name of Krishna. I've been designated as Bhaktivedanta, and now, if you like, you can fulfill the real purport of Bhaktivedanta. So it's a very profound understanding of Krishna consciousness in these very succinct verses. Your disposition should we pass it into the. I want chapter 2, please. Text 21, chapter 2, Adi Lila. As the one sun appears differently situated to different seers, so also do you, the unborn, appear differently represented as Paramatma in every living entity, so depending on the surrender of the individual. But when a seer knows himself to be one of your own servitors, no longer does he maintain such duality. So here, the principle of Sankirtan, of being a member of Prabhupada's mission and being a surrendered soul to it, will remove the duality that I am this material body from the conditioned souls, from all of us. Because we're no longer seeing ourselves as a doctor, a lawyer, an accountant, an entrepreneur, a student, etc. But we're only seeing ourselves as the servant of the Sankirtan mission through our spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada. So no longer does he maintain such duality, the duality of who we are. Thinking I'm a Canadian, I'm an American, I'm any kind of material designation. That will be removed when one takes up the mission of spreading the Krishna consciousness movement, becoming a part of the Sankirtan mission, which many of us have been blessed with for many years. I know that our friend, godbrother Balaramji, has served faithfully Srila Prabhupada for the last 50 years or so in Australia, and I'm sure you could tell us more about your experiences as a member of the Sankirtan movement, Balaramji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Is my sound coming through?
Yes, it is now.
Oh,
Thank
good.
you.
Yeah, I thought the battery had run low. Vanchikalpatarubhischa kripa sindhubevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Today, because we're, I think, about 17 hours ahead of the West Coast, and
Yes.
probably 20, yes, so we're celebrating Sri Ram Navami today. And so we're about, probably now it's time here is 11 a.m., so we're about 6 hours. Sunrise was 5 to 6 this morning, so we're about 6 hours into our fast. So all glories to Lord Ramchandra, Sita Dev, Sri Lakshman and Hanumanji. So yes, Krishna consciousness, I came a little after it was established here in Australia, 1972. And anyway, we've progressed nicely and up to the end of the 1980s, and that was where I decided at that stage to walk, one may say, and leave the society, but never Srila Prabhupada. As many of us have seen, there were things that directions that we weren't necessarily agreeing with. And it took a while for us to understand what was actually going on, different motives and so many things. But I'm very thankful that we've been able to associate with all of the devotees here that have got the one singular purpose, and that is to serve and promote Srila Prabhupada's divine mission. And that is always there. I was just so many nice verses here, and actually explaining the position of the three aspects of realization of the Supreme Lord, the Brahman realization, the Paramatma, and Bhagavan. Also, the Paramatma. We understand that we're so close to Krishna. Paramatma is sitting there alongside us in the heart, the Lord of the heart, Antayami. And Nicho Nichanam Chaitanas Chaitananam Eko Bhunam Jovidadhati Kaman. I think Sarasvatara Upanishad. The two birds are sitting on the one tree, and we're ignorant of everything, simply here trying to enjoy, covered by illusion. But Paramatma is the supreme witness. And actually Krishna explains that in I think it's 1861 in Bhagavad Gita, Ishvara Sarvabhutanam Hridesha Junatistati Brahman Sarvabhutani Yantarudani Mayaya, that Krishna is situated in the heart of all entities and is directing the wanderings of the living entity through this Brahmanda, as though seated on a machine made of the material energy. And it's actually only the devotees, by the mercy of hearing and chanting from the correct authorities, that we can understand even our actual position, that we're covered. There was one beautiful shloka that explains Nitya Siddha Krishna Prem Sadhya Kabunai Shravanadi Sudai Chate Karaye Uday. Eternal love for Krishna, Krishna Prem, is actually eternally established within the heart. It's there. That sloka explains in the Caitanya-caritāmṛta by Krishnadas Kaviraj that pure love for Krishna, it's not gained from any outside source. It's eternally situated within the heart. So the spiritual master is giving us the process to uncover, to cleanse the heart. And the process is Shravanada Jude Chite Karaye Uday, hearing and chanting. Shravanadi Adi is other sources. So Shravanadi is hearing, and all of the other sources as we know, the ninefold processes of devotional service. We have to take these seriously. Enthusiasm, dridha brataha. We have to have a firm vow to follow these processes if we want to advance in Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada is giving us the opportunity in this one lifetime to get out. We see the way that the world is heading at the moment, very atheistic. Prabhupada, many years, 50 years ago, Srila Prabhupada was writing about the threat of communism because it's atheistic. We can see it is mounting at a great pace these days. So we should make it our mission to try and include as many fallen souls as possible. Srila Bhaktivedanta Thakur, his beautiful song, Jeev Jago, Jeev Jago, Jeev Jago Bole, Kota Nidra Jayo Maya Pisachira Bole. The Lord is calling. Lord Chaitanya is calling. Chant the name of the Lord. Wake up, sleeping souls. Wake up. How long will you remain sleeping in the lap of the witch called Maya? So Lord Chaitanya has appeared to deliver us. I mean, so rare is the appearance of Krishna and Maya. So we have to take this opportunity. And this is the message from the Acharyas. When the Acharyas come to this material world, they're not coming here to enjoy. We came to enjoy. But the Acharyas, the Nityasiddhas, they don't come here to enjoy. Just think of the suffering and that Srila Prabhupada and all of the Acharyas, what they have endured, Haridas Thakur, the so-called material suffering that they have endured simply to reclaim the fallen souls. So we have to take that. We have to increase our hearing, chanting, process of devotional service, preaching the message of Mahaprabhu, and if we can do that somehow or other, Samsiddhi Hari Toshanam, Krishna will be pleased. That's what we're after trying to do. We're trying to please Krishna, and we can only do that by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. Guru Krishna Prasade by Bhakti Lata Bij gives us the seed of devotional service, and we have to now be very careful in cultivating that properly. So we pray for the mercy of the Vaishnavas that we can continue this process. Hare Krishna.
Hari Bo. Yes, that's very true. It's a matter of filling up our time with the process of devotional service and the Sankirtan mission of Lord Chaitanya practically. You know, because Balaram, as you know, sometimes you get connected. When you're connected with the mission, then you feel part of the mission. When you're disconnected from the mission and you're only taking, you're what a lot of times we hear what is called prescribed duty. I've got my prescribed duty. I'm a grihasta, or I'm a businessman, or I'm some kind of designation in my mind. That's what I am. But actually, we're none of these things. They're all illusion. And the real identity of the soul is to serve the mission of Srila Prabhupada and to serve the mission of Lord Chaitanya. That's getting out of Maya. That's how you get out. You identify yourself with this mission. Now, it's been difficult, as we all know, because of the topsy-turvy chaos that came into the mission. And as a result, some of us had to find a way to reassociate and re-identify ourselves with this mission. I know that Rathayatra Prabhu is in South India in that wonderful paradise there, and he's re-identified himself with the Sankirtan mission of Lord Chaitanya, despite all the hardships that he's had to endure to stay fixed on the path. Hey, Prabhu, how's been your experience to maintain your Sankirtan enthusiasm in living in the beautiful mountains of South India?
Thank you. On a humble basis to start the devotees online, and in the future, you're in the right place. Very exalted company. I just can't imagine seeing Balaram in Australia. You're in Canada. Yaśodā-nandana's in USA. Bangkok, here in Bangalore. You can see the light coming through the windows. It's early morning. And the enthusiasm comes from chanting good rounds, Bruce. I mean, that's my savior. When I was trained up in Chicago, we had to go to the airport, and that was hardcore. So we had to chant good rounds because Maya's, like Balaram said, Maya's a witch. She's waiting for you to catch you with that spell. And so that's what I continue today. In old age, Prabhupada said death can come at any moment. Again, we have to be prepared for death. We have to chant good rounds. So that's how I get my enthusiasm. And I am very lucky to be here. You can see behind me, Prabhupada would say, this is God. So I'm reminded of Krishna every time I'm sitting outside on my porch here, especially after the morning program. I have a wild pheasant near me that's making these beautiful sounds. I have a waterfalls 50 feet away from me. You can hear the waterfalls. And it's like, why am I here? This is from a little benediction from God. But it's also, Prabhupada said that we cannot have one pinch of material desire. Otherwise, we're not going back home. So how am I going to get rid of these material desires? It's by chanting and by obeying the spiritual master who told us, print and distribute my books, which is what I took to my heart. In fact, I distribute small books now because it's hard for me to carry the heavy books now, like the old days. But I have to tell you, in each book, I put a sticker in the back of the book. And I get these from IRM in England. The sticker says, beware of false Hare Krishna gurus. In this book by Srila Prabhupada, you automatically become connected to Srila Prabhupada reading this book. And so I give a warning because we have to be aware in this time and age. There's so many distractions that take you away from Prabhupada. And that's what these false Hare Krishnas do. They take you away. So I don't want to distribute a book here in India. I didn't have somebody go to a temple. They do the bait and switch. They promote Prabhupada. They make you learn the prayers of Prabhupada. And then before you have to take initiation from an ordinary person. They say, no, you cannot take initiation from Prabhupada. And that's like, what? So I have to distribute the books. This knowledge is there. But I also have to warn people, beware of these false Hare Krishna gurus, because their only purpose is to distract you from Prabhupada. And I want to do, and so yeah, my throat's getting sore. I prefer to listen at this time in the morning.
Okay, thank you very much. And it's
tuning in.
It's very true what you were saying. And we had a very, how can I say, vibrant conversation the other day on a lot of different groups and how they're misrepresenting the philosophy of the Guru Tattva for personal motive. And there was a question by Balaram, maybe you can recall, Venkat, the other Balaram, not you in Australia, Prabhu, it's a different spelling, but he had a question about it. He was saying, well, these gurus, the people are chanting and they're doing service. What was it exactly the point, Venkat, he was bringing up? Do you recall?
I think the question was,
Yeah.
the people in ISKCON, we can see that they're making advancement, and so how can we understand that? I think that was the question. Something about advancement of people who are in ISKCON, following the ISKCON gurus.
Yeah, like Rathayatra, he was making a point to us that why we were not glorifying, in some sense, we weren't not glorifying somebody, but the people in the Bangalore ISKCON group, how we were making, not recognizing them in the same way that we recognize Prabhupada as Siksha and Diksha Guru for us. So I don't know. It was kind of an interesting dialogue, and maybe you have some insight on.
Sorry, that was a different question. I thought you were referring to a different question from a few weeks ago.
Oh, okay. Do you recall what that comment was, Venkat, then a little clearer?
About ISKCON Bangalore, the question was, why don't we recommend people approach ISKCON Bangalore or their various centers for whatever's closest to them? So
Yeah, I think he was trying to get at that point with us. And, you know, we were trying to be respectful to everyone and appreciate, but there are some subtle points. I think, Vinkat, you brought up some point about that. There are some subtle points between different groups. And, you know, because we have these different groups, like the group in Singapore, who are promoting for example, and Rath-yatra, I'll get you to speak in a minute. They're promoting the Bhagavatams 11 and 12 written by Hridayananda. I think it was brought up in the discussion. And, you know, for us, we basically aren't following those versions because they were translated and presented by someone who was put in a position of doing that, but had taken a deviant path in terms of his own personal behavior, as we know. So the question is, do we want to read the books? So Rath-yatra, maybe you have an insight for us on that matter, why we don't go to, say, the Singapore group, or in the particular case, I believe there's some group I've never met the person, so I can't make a comment, but there's someone in England that wrote a book years ago and has been sending out publications like that. We're not really affiliated with them. I mean, we basically accept that Prabhupada is guru, but there doesn't seem to be that unity in our people. Rath-yatra, maybe what's that book you've got there in your hand?
At this time and age, especially the way the world is now, we all went through a big lockdown, a big pandemic scam, and we saw how the devotees were, even the Bangalore group, they all were promoting the vaccine.
Oh,
Madhupana took the vaccine, was promoting it. A lot of people didn't know that. And the devotees were taking this vaccine, same with the ISKCON gurus. So it just opened my eyes up to, wow. You know, I lived in Bangalore for 7 years. And it's very, you know, it's the most racist people I ever met, to tell you the truth. It's between us.
Really?
Yes, I never experienced how they had this hatred for foreigners, because I was living right in the compound next to the temple. And eventually, I was actually kicked out because somebody was writing letters to the FRRO that I was breaking the law. I was having wild parties with women. And so somebody from that group, because they're very anti-Western devotees, it's all Indian. And so I noticed that each of these groups, I don't know the Singapore group very well, but they have their own little thing going, and Madhupana's got its own little thing going. And I give them all my respects. They're all more advanced than me. They're doing good service at turning people on to Prabhupada, but I see a little personal motive there. And when Prabhupada said, if you have personal motive, you would not understand this Krishna conscious movement. So I feel that they have personal motives, profit, adoration, or some distinction. And so it's, for myself, I stay away. I give my humble respects.
Yeah.
Prabhupada took me top of a mountain. I'm happy here. I don't need people. At my service, when I go out and distribute books, we can always find books, original books, which I'm very grateful. And Madhupana, at one time, I used to go there and buy original books, even though they sell the JAS books too, but they also, you know, I had a source for books at that time in Bangalore, and they would let me distribute in the temple. I would go to the festivals in the temple and stand right by Prabhupada's Vyasa sign, and I have a case of books and I just sell them because the temples are packed. So whatever these guys are doing, the temples are devoted, they're attracting devotees, and Madhupana likes to go for the rich crowd, the very wealthy people. And they like to buy books, so I use that position there. I remember one time I went to the Rath-yatra, and it was packed. Madhu Pandit and his entourage comes. It's the Madhu Pandit show then. He gets on the cart and everybody's Madhu Pandit, Jagannath. He gives a lecture. He does the RT. And then so I can see how these people are being well respected by the Indians. So he's actually doing a good service. And at that time, I was distributing cases of books because of Madhu Pandit's temple and all the people coming. So I'm using that position just, I'm not really able to comment so much because there's so much disunity among us Prabhupada Nugas. But I'm welcome at the temple. And whereas I go to Ishkan Temple in Vrindavan, I'm not welcome if I bring original books. So I use that as another reason why I respect that group. But I can't get close. I can't really communicate with them. And I experienced some bad things living there. As far as they don't want me around.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Indian
We
focus,
certainly want.
Indian
Yeah,
focus
we
and
want you
money.
around. Actually, Prabhu, we did hear quite a few comments at the last talk about that discrimination that goes on, which isn't really reflective of a true Vaishnava point of view. Let's put it that way. I mean, myself, I've had a lot of experience with East Indians, by the way. And I know one thing, that Prabhupada, when he came to Toronto, I mean, for example, we had East Indian devotees, people that I had made devotees, they planted guns in the Toronto temple.
Yeah, I heard that.
Drilled out the serial numbers and put oil over the guns so there was no fingerprints and no way to trace them. Now, subsequently, one of our members, a really fine devotee, Murli Krishna Prabhu, who is from the Eros shirt company from Buffalo, and a follower, a very sincere follower of Jayananda, who worked with Jayananda on the carts at the 76th Rath Yatra in New York City, was arrested and put in jail because of this. So there was a lot more that went on. I mean, two of these people were murdered subsequently a few years later, and the police came to me to investigate whether I killed them. Of course, they saw that I had no affiliation with them, but they created such politics and difficulty in that environment that I was trying to develop for our guru, Srila Prabhupada, that they brought other people into the environment that caused them to be shot. One was shot dead in a parking lot by the radio station where they blasphemed us. And another was shot dead coming out of his house. He was worth $76 million and he was murdered. And it appeared on the front page of the Toronto paper. I cut it out and I showed my son, just see what karma brings you. You want to plant guns in the building? See what Krishna does. So, our experience is that they may be racist towards white people, but our experience is that Prabhupada loved his dancing white elephants. He did. And he very much took confidence with us and not them. That's the reality of it. So it would be our hope that they would take shelter of some of the senior white devotees that were Prabhupada's servants that are still pushing on the mission in the Prabhupada Disciples Association. That's our wish. We do want to unify everyone. We do want to work with everyone. We do want everybody to cooperate, and we want everybody to be on the same page. Just like when you throw stones in the water, like Prabhupada uses that example. When you throw the stone in the same spot, like all of us, like Balaram, and yourself, and Yaśodā, and all of the group here, we're all throwing the stone in the same spot in the pond. We're not throwing it in a different spot and then it causes ripples and confrontation. So that's what we're hoping. And the fact that people say this, sorry, Yaśodā, for speaking, that we're fault finding, we're not fault finding. This is a fact finding mission. We're carefully studying the books. We have scholars here in our group that understand our philosophy, that have the whole story properly understood and experienced. Not only myself and you and Balaram and Yaśodā and that, but many of us in this group. And we're trying to explain the truth and remove that covering of illusion that's been projected by some God brothers that are running this society based on profit, adoration, and distinction without any doubt. There is no doubt in this. We're not making it up. We live through it. We know it. It's a fact. And anybody that's got half a brain will understand it if they've been sincerely serving our spiritual master. Sorry for getting so intense. I'm Irish sometimes. Yaśodā, please. I apologize. Yaśodā, please comment.
I think there's some very interesting points that are being made. When that devotee from Turkey was trying to get some kind of approval for his point that, well, the devotees in ISKCON are chanting Hare Krishna, they're doing Mangal Arti, they're worshiping Prabhupada. Well, that's true. They're just like Srila Prabhupada one time gave an example that anybody who chants Hare Krishna, there is some benefit. Just like if you churn sandalwood, there's a certain way of churning sandalwood to bring out the pulp, the sandalwood pulp out of the wood. But if you just take it like a pencil and do this way, well, it's going to take a long time. But because it's sandalwood, some pulp will come. But if you do it the proper way in a certain circular motion, that's the proper way. So Prabhupada said, just like there is offenses in the chanting, it's not just the chanting. For example, there was a discussion between Srila Prabhupada and one GBC, and he brought up the point that one famous American singer, Alice Coltrane, had recorded the Maha Mantra in one of her recordings. And so Prabhupada in that discussion says, well, that is nice, but she should also be told to follow the process. Because if you don't follow the proper process, eventually it becomes sahaja. And this is the problem that I see. These people are following some process, but not following the proper process. And just like I keep giving this example, Srila Prabhupada gave us instruction, and most people who've been in ISKCON know this, that he wanted kirtans to be done a certain way. He wanted a morning tune for the Mangal Artik. He wanted Bhaja Bhakatala for the noon Artik, the evening Artik a certain way. Many times he stopped devotees from singing certain dancing and certain songs. He kept things centered around the Pancha Tattva Maha Mantra, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. But now what we're seeing within 46 years of Prabhupada's disappearance, a lot of these standards have been eroded. And we see the manufacturing of different mantras, unauthorized mantras, different songs, different procedures that Prabhupada did not introduce. And I'm sure they probably would have all kinds of explanations of a rationalization. But this is coming back to my point that I said earlier. Our only tradition is to follow the order instruction of the spiritual master, not all this crazy interpretation. When Pradyumna in 1978 confronted some GBC and pointed out to them that what you're doing here with all these new introductions, Vyasasanas, new pranam mantras, new titles, zonal division, you've changed the procedure for Guru Puja, you've changed the procedure for the Artik, you're changing the procedure of the pictures in the... There were so many things that immediately after the Mayapur festival were introduced. Pradyumna's point is Srila Prabhupada, the founder of ISKCON, did not introduce any of this. Neither did he discuss in the last few months of his manifested presence to do any of this. But there I respond, well, we're the managers, Prabhupada put us in charge, and who are you anyway? Well, this does not answer the question. If Prabhupada is not specifically instructed you to do that, why did you do it? knowing very well that this was going to cause a disturbance in the society. As a matter of fact, many devotees who brought up concerns and questions were kicked out, driven away. One of them even ended up with a bullet in his head, Sulochan. So those people that tell me, oh, we've had a reform, no, you've not reformed anything. This is the continuous recycling of this bogus nonsense, bogus philosophies. So somebody who wants to say they're making spiritual advancement, well, it may depend on how you define what is spiritual advancement. If somebody disobeys the instruction of the spiritual master, how does he make advancement? What is advancement?
Mm-hmm.
This is not what we've been taught, to disobey Prabhupada and to take advice from individuals that the Prabhupada held responsible for breaking down the unity of the Gaudiya Math.
Exactly.
There's a lot of issues. They constantly refuse to address those issues and discuss these issues. Venkat, I see you have a point. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, no, I just wanted, for the listeners, I wanted to clarify what you're referring to, Prabhu, is the GBC ISKCON, right? Not ISKCON Bangalore, because until now we were discussing about ISKCON Bangalore. But
I'm referring to ISKCON, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, and the GBC leadership. ISKCON Bangalore is different. They have their issues. They're trying. They're doing a lot of positive things, and many devotees have expressed concerns. But right now, what we're talking about is the argument that's been forth that ISKCON devotees are making advancement. They're doing good. They're doing okay. Well, from some perspective, you could argue like that. But when you see the results, why is it that in America, both in the United States and Canada, and many temples in Europe, the temples are empty? There was recently a lecture given in the Carriere, Mississippi. I don't know the name of that farm, but it's a big ISKCON property with like 850
it's New
acres.
Taliban. I think
New
it's
Taliban. There were two devotees. There was a person giving the lecture, and another devotee from India that was there. So this is other temples that used to have 50, 60 devotees. Now there's 4 or 5 people, 6 people from Mangalarti. But they think because we're getting money from the Hindus, we're doing good. We're getting our puja, we're doing good. Well, that is not Prabhupada's criteria. Prabhupada's criteria was not just how much money you're making, but how you're following, the proper following.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify, and then we'll get to Venkat and Balaram. Just quickly, Rath-yatra, I took a picture. It came up on the screen of a fellow from the guy that's running Gujarat. He's out constantly traveling everywhere. He's got a big credit card or a big budget to back and forth from America to India with his wife and this and that. So I've been watching him travel around. I'm interested to see, as a friend, I'm a friend of his. And he takes a picture, Balaram, of somebody giving a lecture. I don't remember the person's name, at the New Taliban temple. Okay, now the temple looks quite nice. I think Nityananda Prabhu started that thing, and he did really big back then. When land was cheap, I think he had 1,000 acres or something. So he had done quite big with it, and so they took it over, and he went away. And then, so now he's there, this devotee is there, one of the members, he's got a full beard on and a full head of hair and tilak, some kind of grihasta guy, and he's giving a talk. And I look at the picture and I'm thinking, okay, there's one problem with this picture. There's nobody in the room. Not one person. The only person that was there was this guy from India taking the photograph. And he took it from back at the end of the temple room, Rath-yatra. So it wasn't like, he at least tried to cover up the fact there was nobody in the audience. Like he could have just went up closer to the seat and took a picture of the guy giving the lecture, so nobody had an idea there was nobody in the building. Lights are on, nobody's home. And that's the situation, unfortunately, here in North America, where a lot of the temples are empty, or they're being fulfilled. Their services are being filled by paid employees. So like, for example, the salary for the president of Alachua Temple is a lady. I think she gets $45,000 a year. And I know they were advertising for a president in New Vrindavan. I know this because a bhakta I made here in Hamilton, he eventually moved away from here and went to New Vrindavan, and they made him vice president. And he was getting $40,000 a year for being vice president there. And eventually he took initiation from one of these unauthorized gurus. And then eventually he's fallen down. Now he's just splintered off and doing nothing. Unfortunately, he's my son's best friend. So I have an inside scoop on this type of thing. And I know for a fact that that's what's going on. They're trying to run the society with paid employees. Balaramji, please, we're going to try to wrap it up. So anybody that's got points, please put your hand up and then we'll try to answer them and then we'll finish up the class. Go ahead, Balaram, please.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Yes, Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu was just mentioning just there about the sincerity in chanting Hare Krishna. I just recall last week at the Caitanya-caritāmṛta class and reading, there was a small discussion about, I think one of the devotees said, what is the worst type of chanting? If you may recall that. And there was a few funny little comments, jibber jabber chanting, dive bomber chanting, like that. But actually, this is actually very serious. We shouldn't make this as a small thing, because there are 10 offenses to be avoided in the chanting of the holy name of the Lord. This is hallowed be thy name. Even the Christians have in their prayer, the Lord's name is sacred. So we might say that, there's no hard and fast rules in chanting. A lot of that, of course, would refer to Vedic mantras, how they're chanted, the different Yaśodā-nandana probably would be able to explain that. But of course, we can chant Hare Krishna morning, evening, nighttime, whatever. But at the same time, we have to avoid the 10 offenses. And I don't know how many devotees actually read or know what these 10 offenses in chanting the holy name are. Number 10, to not have complete faith in the chanting of the holy name and to maintain material attachments, even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be a Vaishnava must guard against these offenses in order to quickly achieve the desired success. So, it at the same time is very serious, this chanting of Hare Krishna. And also, number 3, to disobey the orders of the spiritual master. So if we're chanting, but if at the same time we're chanting with offenses, it means that we're actually cultivating weeds while we're in the process of trying to grow the devotional kripa. So a good gardener, Prabhupada said, a good gardener, while they're growing the plants or the food, they're taking out the weeds. So as devotees, sincerely following Srila Prabhupada, we have to do our best. I know we're laden with so many offenses, but we have to be aware of this, and that way our devotional kripa will grow very nicely. So please be aware of the 10 offenses and chant Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Perfect. That's complementary to what Bhaktivedanta was saying, which was very helpful for everyone. Vinkat Prabhu, let's wind it up with your final point, and then we'll go to the
It's a question. I have a question for Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu.
Yes, please.
This is coming to ISKCON Bangalore. Actually, I go to their programs every week, every Sunday, and what they follow is, after the class, and they end off with some I guess these are called kirtan. There's one Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Daya Karo More by Narottam Das Thakur.
Yeah, bhajans.
Bhajans. Okay.
That's right.
So my question is that according to Srila Prabhupada, this one, and then after that they sing Yashomati Nandana Braja Baro Nagara Gokula Ranjana Kana. That's by Bhaktivedanta Thakur. So is that
Well, the bhajans are bona fide. Let's get this clarified. Because when I was there like 12, 14 years ago, during their morning program, I don't know exactly if it was before Guru Puja or after Guru Puja, Rathayatra may correct me, but they sing this song by Narottam Das Thakur, Sri Krishna De Chaitanya Prabhu Dayakamar. It's a very melodious song, very sweet. The problem with that is not whether the bhajan is bona fide. The timing is not bona fide. Srila Prabhupada did not introduce singing the bhajan, this particular bhajan, as part of the morning program. Now, I realize that this is very sensitive because some people will say, well, you should not criticize their chanting and glorifying Lord Chaitanya. Yeah, again, this comes back to the original point that our sadhana and our process is all based upon the order and instructions of Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada did not introduce that. If you were to sing that same bhajan later in the morning or later at night,
yeah, this is for
Artik,
this is during like in the afternoon. It's not in the morning. It's like
in the afternoon, it's fine. There's no point in the afternoon. That's fine. The problem is when they introduce that as part of the morning program. I don't know if they're still doing that. They were doing that when I visited many years ago at their main Bangalore center on Hare Krishna Hill. But again, I don't want to be seen that I'm going to be criticizing them for that. And, different issues with regards to ISKCON Bangalore, I try to look at it from the big perspective, from the service they're doing. And another thing, because I've worked in a legal field for many years, and with all due respect to the various criticism coming from many directions, these people have been under litigation for the last 14 or 16 years. And I know when you're under litigation, this is different than not being under litigation, because anything you say can end up in a court of law. Anything you say can spoil your case. That's why lawyers always tell me to always tell people, don't make any comments, refer any comments or questions to my office. They know what to say. So this is one of the problems that on one hand, we're seeing they're doing nice deity worship, whatever they're doing. They're trying to distribute books. We see, just like Rathayatra Prabhu has mentioned and other Prabhus have mentioned, we see certain, let's use the word concerns. And we wish them the best. Wish them the best and sincerely pray that things will get better. But at the same time, they're engaging a lot of people to Prabhupada, and their greatest advantage, in all fairness to them, is that they've accepted Prabhupada's instruction for initiation, that July 9th letter, and they don't allow anybody to get worship on the altar or in their temples. That is to the credit of Madhu Pandit, Chanchala Papati, and all these people. That alone deserves our respect and deserves our attention. It's a very strong position to take in the fanatical climate of the ISKCON cult. The ISKCON GB's cult does not allow open discussion. I keep giving the example, when Jim Jones in Guyana told 700 people to drink Kool-Aid, they didn't have an Ishtagoshti before and an open discussion to discuss whether they should do that or not. This is the same thing with ISKCON. Their philosophy is eat your parampara pablum. In other words, do whatever we tell you. Don't ask too many questions. And if you ask too many questions, there's the door, or you get beat up, or if you're lucky, we can put you in the Ganges. Because there's been a lot of people that have been kicked out, banned, beaten, sued. It's still ongoing as we speak. There's followers of an ISKCON guru who is suing a woman in America for explaining that guru molested an underage girl. And they're suing that woman, that you are spoiling the reputation of this person.
That was her. That was her. She's the girl.
The girl is a girl named Satya. The woman that is discussing this online is Saraswati from North Carolina, Saraswati Devi. she's being sued by the followers of that ISKCON sannyasi and his fanatical followers who are telling this woman, you are spoiling the reputation of this sannyasi, and we want you to pay 2 crores of rupees and stop all this.
Yeah,
Just see the mentality.
Wasn't she the one that was violated?
No,
Saraswati?
the one that was violated was a different woman.
Oh, okay.
She's a grown-up woman now. This woman is basically a former ISKCON member who has a very active site on the internet criticizing the ISKCON leadership for allowing this nonsense to go on. And the follower of that sannyasi are suing that woman in India.
Okay.
This is why I say this is a fanatical cult with no open discussion and no fact-finding.
Okay.
Bhaktivedanta knows the story. He's in India. He knows what's going on over there. He knows.
Okay, excellent. So I hope that we reach the certain understandings tonight together as a group. And I want to thank everybody. Has anybody got a last comment or question they want to make before we go to the kirtan? Go ahead, please.
This is from the Mukunda Mala Sutra from King Kulashekar. It's a line from text number 31. Jive Sri Krishna mantram japa japa satatam janma safalya mantram. O tongue, please constantly chant the Krishna mantra composed of Sri Krishna's name for making my birth in this world successful. It's a very sweet, heartfelt prayer from King Kulashekar. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. Vinkat, let's bring forward the original kirtan that Prabhupada chanted and was recorded. I think the Beatles liked this recording, even though it was just a bongo drum that he was playing. And we can chant along.
Krishna Caitanya Caritāmṛta Shri Advaita Shivāsadi Gaurabhakta Shri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Shivāsadi Gaurabhakta Shri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivāsadi Gaur Bhakta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama
Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare. Jai, thank you for that reminder, Rathayatra. Blissful.
Vakshakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai Sri Ramachandra ki jai.